Let me just recap us.
Adair. What about Dad?
Okay. All right.
What a...
Jen.
What about Dad?
Not your mama's TV show.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. We are here to talk about Wynonna finale, episode 311, 312, the wildness, if you will, of Wynonna Earp's finale. Jen, how are you feeling? How are you doing? What's going on?
I'm feeling a giant boost of morale this week because, I don't know, Adair, somewhere in your mind you got this idea to throw an end of season viewing party. And when we sat down to really think about what that meant, it meant that we had to invite people we've never met, didn't know, and convince them to come and meet us at an undisclosed location somewhere in New York City. And what started as a hectic week where we really had no plan came together like a nice Christmas bow in the end. So that was a huge deal. That was a huge,
we want to say
huge
thank
deal.
you to all the Earpers who came on down to watch the show and eat some food and just kind of meet other people. It was really awesome. Yeah. I liked it. I wish
it was,
you know,
it was our first live podcast event. We always talked about doing this. This was always like a dream of ours, and to be able to do it. And Adair, when you came to me with this idea, and you're like, yeah, we're gonna do a Twitter invitation, you know, and I was like, Adair, don't we have to do an invitation? And you were like, no, Twitter's fine. I was like, what? The technology has gone ahead of me so much so that I don't know that Twitter's fine. So it ended up being all's well that ends well, but it was certainly just, it's always surprising when these things work out. You know what I mean? Like, what was your favorite part of the night?
Honestly, just watching people's reactions, being able to just hang out, and I didn't do as much, hanging with everybody as I'd like to, because I was, doing the recording and, handling all the electronics, But I really enjoyed watching all the Earpers freak out and people talk about theories and what they wanted and what they didn't want, and what it was cool, because it's normally us just kind of talking about it and me extra, fangirling on Twitter with you guys, but it was cool to actually see people in person. And this is something that I actually have never done. I wasn't really raised as a kid who had celebrities on their wall or favorite groups or any of that. That just wasn't something we did in our house. So now that I've gotten older, after coming out and all this other stuff, it's actually really cool for me to kind of have a posse. Now I get why people were so into Buffy and so into those fandoms of Xena and things like that. I didn't get it, and now I really get it, and I really love it. And it was just really cool to be a part of it.
I was so surprised by the community. It was so fascinating to put faces to this community of Wynonna Earp. And one of the things I kept thinking was we hosted this event in this bar in a back private room, and we had four big screens, and we had loud sound, surround sound, and we had food and beer. It was just a really great time. And I kept thinking about, when you looked at the whole picture, it was just such a safe space. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was really a safe space where mainly women were just kind of convening on a Friday night. And the whole front of the bar was kind of sports bar, kind of clubbish. And then the whole back of the bar was really just kind of these warm, wonderful women. And I kept looking at the group and I couldn't help it. But all these Earpers, they were just so beautiful. They're good looking, beautiful, sweet,
and of all ages. That was what I really liked too.
Everybody
was different age range and a different walk of life, and I think that was actually really cool to see over this one show.
It wasn't just like way hot fans. It wasn't just like one kind of fan. It was all the microcosms of the fandom.
The Y dog shippers and the Mama Earp and the Nedley shippers and the you know.
Yeah, it was like all the tribes came forward for a communal meeting. I enjoyed playing trivia with all the women. That was fun. I truly enjoyed that. I was really surprised at how well everyone knew the show. Like, once we got that trivia out, some of those questions people just spot on got, and I thought they would never get it, but I was really surprised by how knowledgeable the fandom is.
I think they could have been harder questions. We could have gone deep.
Oh, now I know it's gonna be real next time. I think for me the funnest part of the night was watching the show together as a community, and everyone was just the room was on fire. People were screaming and laughing, and
she did. She kept like lingering, like, everybody good? Everybody want to hang out? Everybody, what's this going about? You know, and I thought that was actually pretty funny. Actually, I'm gonna put a few clips of people talking about kind of what they were expecting that the episode was gonna be like, and this is before we, before we actually watched it, and there was so much anticipation. You know, we had our own predictions. Yeah, a lot of predictions, and we had, our idea of what we thought was gonna happen, which was pretty dang cool. So yeah, here's some clips. We're going to kind of insert those for you guys now.
Okay. My name's Kathy. I actually found Wynonna Earp through my girlfriend who watched it. So when we were long distance. So when we first started dating, that's one of the first shows we kind of watched on Netflix. Yep. I like that she doesn't remember that. Yeah.
Emily, I swear to God, I swear to Julian, don't do it. Please.
I'm thinking it's going to be like the full Harry Potter, where Dominique goes up the stairs, she sacrifices herself, she meets her dad at the top of the stairs. He's like, yo, what up? I'm your dad. She's like, yo, dad, hey. And so her dad's the Dumbledore, and they have a nice chat. They might hug, probably say, yo, your mom's kind of crazy. And then, like, he'll be like, cool, do you want to hang with me, or do you want to go back? And she'll obviously make the choice to go back.
Or does Mama Earp take her place with Julian at the top of the stairs?
Yeah, I love that theory.
All right, wild, right? Just listening to people have those kind of opinions, and I love it. I think all of it's super funny, and like it gets you thinking, like, oh yeah, maybe that could have happened, or oh my gosh, now that we've seen it, we were so wrong about that, or and that's what I love about the show, because it can go any way at all. So let's dive in. Let's dive into this finale, Jen. Are you truly prepared for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the long haul. I'm ready to break this down, unbox this box, open this Christmas present.
Yes. Take this sword of the stone. I get it.
Take this. Yeah. I'm ready to
jump
do
into
it.
that garden.
I'm ready
here for it. I got you.
All of the metaphors, lick the donut, eat the potato, all of it,
Douse that holy water, get those fangs out. Yeah. So, as you like to ask, but I'm going to ask you, what would you give the final 2 episodes on a scale of 1 to 10, Jen?
Okay, this was my favorite finale of all 3 seasons. I'm basing this purely off of the first experience of watching it with a group. It was heightened, super heightened. But I also, one of the things that I do is I don't usually watch with commercials. So I'm always complaining about pacing. But when you have commercials, act breaks. The pacing's right. It's okay. It's a lot better. And so I think this finale for me was like about a 9. I really, really enjoyed it. And you know what? I'd give it a 9 because there was legitimately a moment where I felt cocky as shit about my predictions, thinking, you and we'd predicted we'd been really spot on about our predictions. I felt cocky as shit, but then but I was bedazzled, like the season 1 episode 1 vampires. I got bedazzled by Emily Andres, and I was legit surprised. And because of that, because I did not see the surprise coming from left, right, up, or down, I gave it a 9 because I like being surprised.
No, I get it.
I like that they zigged instead of zagged. I appreciate that.
No, I get it. I kind of have 2 scores, and Jane kind of knows this. When watching it with the Earpers and at the finale party and really just like having a good time and, you know, going, what? Oh, hey, ooh. I would say yes, I give it a 9. After watching it privately and going over it a few times, I give it a 7. So I think the hype of being around other Earpers and really enjoying it just for the, shits and giggles of it all, definitely 9. Once I started breaking it down like we normally do with episodes, I was like, okay. Cool. So yeah.
You can't leave on the rose tinted glasses, can you, Adair?
I can't, like,
you gotta peel them back.
No, definitely. I think the rose colored glasses, and that love for just having camaraderie definitely made it feel like a 9. But going back, I was like, this feels a whole lot like Swiss cheese, and there was a lot of holes and a lot of things that didn't add up and a lot of things that were dropped, and I was like, ooh. After, like, within the actual finale of it all. Also, it just bums me out that this show isn't getting more episodes, because if we had 15, 20 episodes, I think a lot of the things that ended up being holes would be addressed or positioned to actually mean something later on. But we're just like cramming a crap ton of stuff in, and it's just like, so there's a lot of things that I loved about the finale. But I would have to say I gave it a 9 at first, and now it's at a 7.
See, I'm the opposite. I feel like usually I am all about the plot holes, being like, pacing, plot holes, this doesn't make sense, this doesn't make sense. But this time, I think that the surprises were I was so surprised, but pleasantly so, that I was able to, like, overlook some of that. But anyways, I guess let's get into some of these surprises.
Yeah. I mean, we're still talking about the finale, but, like, come on, what did you expect for this finale? What did you really expect?
What I expect? Well, I expected something a lot more predictable. And I think because we had episodes early in the season that were like, okay, I think my lowest point in the season was episode 3 when they had Peter Mooney on as Officer Ramon something from the Black Badge to Barry Dolls, and they had that cheesy ass dialogue about the fallen comrades and the dog tags. That was like the lowest moment of the season for me, because I felt like that was so cliche, all the language was cliche, and the guest star was unnecessary. And we really ate up a bunch of time where we could have been laying these plot lines down for maybe a Bobo scene, or maybe bringing in Zoe Palmer an episode early. Instead, we wasted that contract on this one guy who was a one-off, who didn't really add anything to the story.
I just read, literally just breezed through it last night, season 0 of the Wynonna Earp comic book, and because I wanted to learn a little bit more about Valdez and things like that. That character that they had, that whole like Black Badge brothers fallen thing, felt very much like the comic book 0, where, for those of you who haven't read it, Wynonna Earp, she's coming back to the purgatory, and she's been killing demons, and we've already established this world, and she has left to be part of kind of like a gang, where she needed to be. When she ran away when she was younger, she ended up with a gang, the Banditos. And with that, she met people who were Black Badge, very much like dolls, being experiments. They're hyper, soldiers. And that camaraderie felt like what they were trying to do with the BBD and his storyline. So, like, that character, after reading that comic book, I was like, it would have been cool to have the idea a little bit more stretched out of having this Black Badge guy. Maybe he did come back and form some kind of bond with Wynonna, not a sexual bond, but like, you know, agent to agent, like almost like you can see where Dolls got it from, maybe like his older brother and taking her under their wing, you know what I'm saying? But not sexually, just like a mentor, because Wynonna doesn't really have a mentor. You know, she did, and now he's dead. So like after seeing that, I was like, that would have been great. Too bad it was just one episode and it was a waste of time.
I just felt like, okay, to bring it back to the question though, what was, you know, what the original question was about my expectation, right? What I think was going to happen. I just thought that moment, if we were to take that episode 3, and that character, I was like, that's a wash. I wish it hadn't happened. I wish we'd spent more time doing other things. Yeah, literally anybody else this season than that.
Okay, surprises. You were talking about surprises.
But no. Let me get. I had a point. So that to me was the scale of that kind of cliche storyline of my brother and my dad tags. That to me was a level of prediction that I felt like is the lowest for me this season, and we were able to make a lot of really solid predictions. And I felt so going into the final, I felt like that these predictions, that we were going to see a bunch of like predictable stuff. I thought we were going to see the lovers be Adam and Eve, because they kept alluding to purgatory being the Paradise Lost, the Garden of Eden. So you had the snake, you have the tower, you had all these like archetypes. So I thought, you know, obviously Waverly is the angel and Nicole is the devil, and she survived the massacre, and clearly she's related to Balshar or something, you know. I thought angel, demon, you know, I thought we were going to have dichotomies of things and archetypes of things. And I was surprised that they kind of pulled back from all of the mythology, the religion, which has been very, very heavy. And I was expecting for the religion, the tarot cards, and the massacre to all kind of be much more heavier in the season finale. That's to say that an angel with giant wings wasn't brilliant and super religious, because it is. But my expectation for the way that they presented it certainly, I was much more surprised than I thought I would be.
No,
do you understand what I mean?
I get what you mean.
You know what I mean? I thought we were going to be more specific with these roles that people had to play.
No, I definitely get what you mean. I think that for me, it's funny because what you considered like, oh, they didn't do the regular, they didn't go with our expectation because we tend to predict it. To me, it felt like they were trying, like almost like they tried too hard to not do what's literally written. Like they were on track to do certain things, which would have been fine. Yeah, a little predictable, but they could have made it different twists. Instead,
made it work.
Made it work and make them still surprising, even if it is a usual trope, if you will. But then they went from giving us all these clues to one path and then completely doing something else, but not to me in a way that made it seem clever. It just made it seem like instead of giving you clues and then twisting it on its head, we're just going to not even mention it and go to another train of thought. And I was like, this seems so disjointed after like, cause like it, because of where they ended up, I felt like a lot of things were dropped, because they chose to, instead of go on the same path and make it turn it on its head, they just chose another path. I was like, wait, but what happened to this issue that we brought up all 11 episodes or 10 episodes, and now we're just abandoning it for a finale? Like it almost felt like it was two different things. To me, after looking at it, it felt like they might have not, how do I say it? Because English, you know? I don't think they knew that they were coming back for season 4 right away. I know they got it early, but they wrote it as though this was the series finale. And then realized halfway through writing it, nope, we got a 4th season. So they had to put some cliffhangers in there. Because the way they did it, just everybody's story arc felt very much like, we might not be coming back. Let's wrap it up. And then they finally got told, no, you're coming back. They're like, shit, let's splinter some of these storylines open again so that we have somewhere to go. But it didn't feel very planned this time around. So I think when you think surprises and it didn't meet your expectations.
I was thinking more like archetypes. I was thinking more like roles, like because when you have tarot cards, the tarot cards are very specific. You know, I thought those would like the tarot cards. I thought they like would translate to people. Like everyone has a role to play, and each card symbolizes a person. And so I was trying to piece it together based on these cards, and I was like, the lovers. That's Nicole and has to be Nicole and Wei Han. I'm just gonna say Wei Han. And then I can't split them up anymore verbally. And then the snake. That's Bolsher. And I kept thinking like, okay, that was how I was gonna predict this one by being able to plug in the right people into the right roles and slots. And they had the champion storyline. And one thing I have to say about this champion storyline, the idea that I have to sacrifice myself and be the Messiah, and that it was Waverly who was that. This champion storyline really, really reminded me of Lost Girls season 4. And it felt the same in the capacity that you're talking about, where it felt like Lost Girls season 4 that they weren't going to get a season 5, so they kind of wrapped it up. And in that last season, they had a character who really who kind of slightly resembles Waverly. They had Kenzie. They had her die, and it was the same thing where you have the main character Bo being the champion who kind of like steps out of the role, so their sidekick can become the champion, and then you had the role of Kenzie dying. So it's almost like that same storyline plot of the champion sacrifice that existed in that world. I literally felt like it was pulled and dropped into the Wynonna Earp world in terms of like what they were doing with Waverly. They did the same thing with Kenzie and Bo.
Yeah, it's like the card situation. Like that's a perfect example. Like they could have kept that. Like because they didn't use it. Now it kind of negates any reason to have Kate there. It negates any reason other than now it just feels like she was there to tell Wynonna that her and Bolsher were linked. That was it. And we could, if that was the case, we could have figured out another way easier without bringing in another person, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, I love Chantel. But it was like, what was the point of that? What was the point of turning Doc into a vampire? That, it made no sense,
I think the point of Doc into a vampire has to do with like, I hope they pick that up and explain it more further in season 4. It feels like it's still gonna be something they live with in 4.
Yeah, well, yeah, because the thing is like, for me, Kate, I love her and I wanted more of her. She didn't become what I thought she would, so hopefully maybe season 4 she is. But like, she was there to cry and whine and be heartbroken over Doc, to give 1 or 2 clues about the cards, but that was it. And then the fact that she read Waverly's cards earlier and was like, oh, she's something all right. And then this finale, she's like, she's of him. Well, you already knew that. Like, you already said she was something. So you're the only one who already knew kind of ahead of time. But what was the point of that? What's the point of... what's the point of
the importance of the cards?
What was the importance of Kate having that power other than to be, like, I wanted more from her. Like, okay, now that you know that Doc is in love with somebody else, don't just be like, well, I can't get my man, I'm leaving. Like, be helpful somehow. I didn't get... Also, her storyline of, like, Bolsher knows I'm here. Okay, apparently he didn't really care that you were here, because they didn't address the fact that, she was literally had 3 times where she was like, he knows I'm here. Oh, he's looking for me. She even did this sob story with Doc of like, oh, he's coming. So, and he's like, that's when he got bit during that whole monologue about somebody's, Bolsher's going to see her, and then nothing happened.
I think there's a lot to talk about character to character, and we could talk about each character, but we also have to talk about the season. So like, with this finale, let's break apart these surprises, and then we'll go into some of these characters here. But so surprises, and I'm listing them off. For me, like, the number 1 surprise, and this is why I gave the finale a 9, because I did not see this happening, and I was a little skeezed out. But oh my God, Adair, I haven't told you this, but I'm a sucker for a good old-fashioned incest storyline.
No, I know that.
So,
yes,
you know
I
that
do.
about me?
I really do.
When have I ever told
It
you
came
that.
up during Supergirl sometime. I forgot. It was
No, maybe
Yeah.
it has. Okay, you're right. Okay, another
Yeah.
podcast, guys. So, I thought the Julian reveal. I thought Julian being present in Purgatory the entire time whilst boning Wynonna as Charlie was brilliant.
Technically, he wasn't in
And-
the Purgatory the entire time, but
Well, he wasn't. He was there like half a season.
end of season 2, he
I
apparently
just,
showed up. I guess.
I just thought, like, okay. I thought that it was... I would have taken Peter Mooney out, again, Agent Ramon, and introduced Charlie episode 3. That's what I
Yeah.
would have done. You did not need that man to come and mourn dolls in the way that you needed Charlie to really be deeply planted into this series. I thought his reveal was brilliant. I love the CGI. And again, to harken back to Lost Girl, I can't help it. There's a moment where Tamsin goes full Valkyrie. That was the moment we got with
I like the Valkyrie
Julian
better than
and-
Julian's wings. It looked better.
I thought his wings were so
I thi-
cool looking, and I thought he looked great. Like, just I was so pleasantly surprised because of all the things in this world, I could never have guessed, as a fan of the show, as a reviewer, as a podcaster, that Wynonna Earp that Julian 1 was in the city of Purgatory, and that Wynonna Earp was banging Waverly's dad.
I mean, yeah, that's...
I literally felt like I looked at another girl across from me and we were both like, oh, like right at the same time our eyes met and we just were like, she was boning Waverly's daddy. And it was just like, I felt like that's a brave choice.
You know,
make. As a writer, it was a brave
it's a choice, that's for sure. I was like, okay, cool, sure, okay. I wasn't I wasn't here for it, and I wasn't not here for it. I was just like, well, that's something that happened. And then, like, for me, the reveal. Oh, it's funny. Mm-hmm. I figured it out as we were watching the episode at the finale party because one of the Earpers came up and we were talking. And she's like, blah, blah, blah. As soon as he came back alive, and as soon as Waverly touched him, and the next time we see him, he's walking barefoot with the white shirt on, I was like, oh, he's an angel. Because to me, they are very good. They give a lot of clues away in their costuming and their lighting. Waverly's wearing her feather white jacket for wings, and then he's wearing white, and nobody else is wearing white in the town. I was like, oh yeah, he's the angel. Cool. And that's literally when I was like, oh, he's the father. Makes sense. You know? I mean, of course we were expecting him to... I was actually expecting him to be the stone angel in the garden that comes to life for whatever reason. But then the fact that it was him, I was like, okay, whatever. The only thing that bothered me about Charlie/Julian, Charlian, if you will, is the fact that his personality changed. And I told Jen this, and she knows this. I liked Goofy Charlie because he seemed like a dude. He seemed like a nice dude. He wasn't a bro. He wasn't like, hey, I'm dating Wynonna. Like, he sent Wynonna breadsticks, for Christ's sake, like a basket of breadsticks. Doesn't that sound like something Waverly would do for Nicole? Or she's really awkward. Waverly's like her mom, a badass with a shotgun and, her sassiness. But she's also really nerdy and kind of quirky. And I think it showed because you saw Charlie's personality of being silly and quirky and ha ha ha. But then as soon as he became Julian, he became this like stoic, like, I am the angel of light and come with me, daughtereth, or whatever. And
he started speaking
in
Old
he started
Testament.
speaking in the Old Testament. And so I was just like, why couldn't he still be Charlie and be like, oh my God, I'm Julian, I'm this angel, I remember who I am, and him still be silly. Like, there had to have been a reason why Mama Earp liked him. She's not a person who's just going to go with some boring ass, like, authoritative person. He had to be silly and charming and everything like that. So I felt a little bummed out that we had to lose Charlie's personality in order to gain Julian. I think that because we liked we got to like Charlie and know that he was a normal dude, if his death as Julian was less impactful for me, because I was like, well, I don't know this angel being. I know Charlie. It's a bummer Charlie's gone. And if he would have still been heroic as Charlie, the fireman who happens to be an angel, I would have felt more pain for his for the loss of him, you know. I'd been like, damn, he was so nice, you know, and he was. But I don't know. As soon as he became Julian, I was like, whatever. Sorry, Dad. Like, you know, I don't know. I got all bummed out.
I just, you know, Mama Earp, Wynonna, Waverly they're gonna get into a room together. They just gotta talk about it, you know.
Very Maury of them. Very Maury. Oh, you know what? Actually, I laughed because there's a moment, and this has to just be an acting accident. I would say chemistry. I call it a chemistry accident. The actor playing Charlie and Dominique, they're under the table, and that's when he has the vision and realizes he's Julian or whatever. Look, this happens to actors all the time. I think Mr. Charlie actor, I don't know his name, got a little too comfortable with Dominique, because like under the table, like he's holding her, and like it did not look like he was playing Charlie, like, oh, just holding his daughter and being like, oh, my child or whatever. It looked like this dude finally got to hold Dominique and he was down for it, because it looked a little too sexy. And I'm not the only one who noticed this. I've heard a few people go, what was the deal? Why was there so much sexual tension under that table? And it's like, hey, sometimes you work with attractive actors. Whoops.
Sometimes you just love your daughter. That's all.
I mean, you can ask people in Alabama. I guess that's a thing, but I think that was a little bit of a slip of the actor, which I think is funny because that stuff happens. But I was like, he's getting a little too handsy for for Daddy-O over there. It was just weird. I promise you, go back and look at that table scene, and you're like, that was a little gropey.
Okay, so can I?
Oh, absolutely. Let's go on.
Okay, surprise.
Keep it moving. Keep it moving. We have a long cast ahead of us.
Surprise. Oh, we really do. Surprise number 2 was the Doc redemption. I didn't see Doc being getting a redemption arc at the very end of the episode. I did not see that happening. I saw him as flipping. I thought he was going to become a bad guy. And I was surprised when he reasserted his, I don't know, what is it called? The Wynonna Doc?
Y-Doc?
What's that ship name? Y-Doc. When Y-Doc came, you know, riding back into town. And I was at that moment at a super high, really enjoying the night. But I didn't actually follow the course of action that got Doc from being chained down to Wynonna. He, like, the actor explains it on scene. And all of that is like Swiss cheese, you know. It makes no sense that Doc got there so fast. And if anything, the pacing on that feels really, really forced. But I was just surprised that they made the choice to have Doc go after Waverly, which tells us that it might give us some clues as to where they're going. I think maybe they go to hell. What do you think?
Well, I'd say that for predictions, but I don't know. I think the garden's not what anybody thinks, because Julian couldn't be in it. JC didn't go in it. The Angels never went in it, and now that Waverly's there, I don't know. We also have to remember, Waverly's not an angel. She's a Nephilim. She's half angel, half human. That's a completely different situation. So it's unprecedented, as Kevin said, and who knows what the rules are, because she's not a full angel. So there's that. As far as the Doc redemption and the Doc surprise there, I don't get why he was redeemed. I just don't get it. I don't think he earned it. I don't think he put in the work for it. I also think it was kind of a cheesy way, I think it's cheesy because Waverly cries over Doc. That's when everybody's assuming he gets, quote unquote, healed. Okay? She cries a tear on him, very much like Harry Potter, where the Phoenix cries upon, you know, what's his name, and revives or whatever. So I think the tear that she sheds heals his soul. Okay, so we got that. That's how he was able to hold Julian's sword. Even Julian says, if your spirit was truly compromised, you couldn't hold the sword. You couldn't have this. So clearly he's not compromised. Now, when he walks someone to the stairs, takes his belt off, walks through the portal, that means he is some type of mortal. Because Wynonna goes, but you're not mortal, Doc, and then walks through it. Now, she's mortal and couldn't walk through the thing, so I don't know what those rules are. Once again, Swiss cheese. And she goes, she doesn't have a weapon. He goes, I'm a weapon. So does that mean he's a vampire or not? Because all of a sudden you're going to be a vampire with a soul, a redeemable soul? That's very confusing. Once again, Swiss cheese. Because if he was human, he'd keep his guns, you know? And you can't say there's no weapons allowed in the garden if he considers himself a weapon, you know? So there's just like a lot of holes. Him getting out to Wynonna to suck out the venom, you know, if he isn't a vampire anymore, that would make sense. Because holy water, she handcuffed him. We know he can get out of handcuffs. And then she tied him with holy water. That was her assurance he wouldn't move. But if he's not a vampire anymore, holy water doesn't hurt him. So then him running to Wynonna to suck out the blood because he's a vampire, or the poison, makes no sense. So is he a vampire with a soul now? Is he Angel all of a sudden? Are we like in Buffy territory and we've made him Angel? Because that's what it sounds like. You know, this vampire with a heart of gold who can go into a garden, but he's not dead. Like, too many holes. I'm sorry. It's just too many holes. I wasn't really surprised. I was also kind of bummed out that they redeemed him. I just don't, what's the point? He didn't do anything this whole season that accounts for him being the savior of these two women. I just don't get it. I'm not here for it.
Well, that is to be explained next season.
Maybe.
We'll see what he does to continue this. I think it's the start of a redemption.
I think he should have totally gone bad longer than this. I think him being... Although, to be fair, now that I've read the Valdez storyline and kind of her relationship with Doc, I think it'll be funny. Like, I think that she will be helpful in turning him right round, like the right way around. You know.
Well, like I said, I think this is the beginning of a redemption arc. I don't think he's at all earned it. And if anything, he may go dark before he fully redeems, and we might see a reversing course because his character is so kind of like bipolar when it comes to whether he's for himself or for this team. It seems like he's always reiterating that he's for Wynonna, but then at the same time, he's one of those, he has that habit of making decisions for the women that he thinks are best for them. You see it a lot. You see it in Supergirl. It's like, I'm going to do this on your behalf without talking to you about it. Like, turn into a vampire and do my own plan because I think I'm acting in your favor. I don't know what that's called, but he has a huge hero complex. That's what it's called.
Savior complex.
And so savior complex. And so, you know, I definitely think that my end prediction for this character is at the end of the series, I think maybe he sacrifices himself to save the Earp sisters.
Who knows?
Yet again. Moving on though, next surprise.
Let's wait for the that one last and go to the fourth one because that makes a little bit more sense.
All right, let's talk about it. Mercedes had a big role in the second.
Hey, Danny, 11. Fucking kind. I love her.
And not so. I love her. She's great. This actress is one of my favorite guest stars on the show, behind Zoe Palmer and Anna Silk. But there was a lot of questions, and it was so fun seeing her. She got all the fun lines, first of all. Mercedes got to say all the fun stuff. Second of all, she had some awesome clothing. And then we got to see that wonderful Wynonna-Mercedes dynamic where, you know, they're kind of girlfriends, but they're also kind of like snappy at each other. And I really like that. I love her sass.
I like the Mercedes ship. And I'm here for it.
I do like that quite a bit. And then we got the question of Mercedes. You've been married to Balshar this entire time, and you didn't think to say something?
Well, she got kidnapped technically, and then all of a sudden became, you know, she's like, I'm his wife.
She came back. She had a face. Yeah, you know, that was really unexplained. I would like some explanations. And then she just kind of like disappeared. You know.
After they did the hero 12. Walk, she was gone.
she got to stick around for a slow-mo hero walk in a nice dress. And I liked all of it. I liked that she was on the right side of things. I still like that she kind of lives in the gray. And I can't wait. I hope this character, more than any character, comes back.
I actually really
season.
like the fact that they took Mercedes and gave her, I mean, even more depth. The thing is, like, people were like, the whole coward conversation that she had with Wynonna, and you're being a coward, and we got to stand up. And she's like, I've gotten my face ripped off and almost dying. And I've learned how to just survive, you know? And she's like, forget this. And I actually really like that. And I mean, it might seem like whatever, and she was being cowardice, but yeah, she got her face ripped off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be a little cowardice too, of like trying to stand up to these big bads. I'd be like, look, I'm gonna play the game, act like I'm here for it, and when I get a chance, I'm poisoning your drink. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of what Mercedes would do, you know? She's like, I'll play it until I absolutely have to try to fight back, but right now I'm good, I'm alive, my face is intact, I'm cool. So I really liked that conversation. And I even like the honesty where she goes, you know, I love your whole badassness, but you gotta find another way. Something that Wynonna's been told all season 3. You've got to find a different way to do something than you're used to. All right, continue.
Mercedes, she has like this capacity that we haven't seen evolve in Nicole yet, but she has the capacity to speak truth to Wynonna, truth to power. And Nicole doesn't. I think Nicole undermines herself or becomes too doesn't have the confidence to speak to Wynonna, or maybe she does, but it takes her a lot to get to that place. And Mercedes can just be there in the moment, and it's a one-liner for her, and it's always something very potent. And that's what I think about what I like about her so much.
Yeah, she has the one like you're so correct, because like Nicole had the one scene at the bar when she's like, you can't monopolize the grief we feel for Dawes' death. That was the first time we've really seen her kind of just go at Wynonna honestly, not under curse, not under, because yeah, she's talked back to Wynonna normally when she's cursed or when somebody's under a spell, but that was the first time sober for the most part she goes, you can't do this. And Mercedes is very much like Wynonna, where she just says it. You know, she doesn't care if it hurts Wynonna's feelings. She's like, boom, I'm saying it. But Nicole can't say stuff because she's like, Waverly might get upset, or it might ruin it's too involved with Waverly. As opposed
Waverly,
to
there's always the fear of that. Yeah. Oh, okay, so the next thing that was a huge surprise for us was the curse, right?
Okay.
Curse is broken. Cool. Where do you go from there? Where do you go from there? You know, the story that started the show, the plot line that we're in this never-ending curse, is broken. So what is the structure moving forward? Season 4, you know, what is the lore? What is the structure? Do we go back to a curse, or do you just deal with the fallout? Or are we at a midway point now where it's like 2 more seasons and we'll be wrapping up the effects of the curse? But I think this is going to affect the way they structure the show week to week, because in the beginning, season 1, it was always the weekly revenant who was getting killed, you know, and I feel like now we don't have that as much. We'll be moving away from that whole concept. So what does Peacemaker stop now? You know,
there's definitely a lot of questions with the curse. Emily, who does the bicycle tours, a little shout out there, she actually said something that I was like, I had thought about, and I wrote it down, and then she said it, and I was like, I'm so glad I'm not the only one who thought this. The curse was presented to us as, you have this curse, you kill this amount of revenants, the curse is broken.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we didn't kill all the revenants. She didn't break the curse. The bad guy who started the curse stopped the curse. So we really didn't get a completion of the curse being done the way it was presented. The one thing that the show does is present us one thing. They'll present us something, say this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, and then not that they twist it or do something different with it. They just stop that train of thought and go, just kidding, now we're doing this. And you're like, but I was really invested in this. I liked the way the curse was going. I wanted to see different revenants, different types of species of revenants, and put them down. I thought that was cool. So now we have no reverence. Fine. I already thought that if the curse ever got broken, because it is a comic book, there are werewolves, there are mummies, there are all kinds of beings in the comic book. So I knew that once the curse is broken, and like you said, Jen, we're going to see the fallout, whatever happens to the curse. Juan Carlos says it's a prison and a sanctuary. Sanctuary for the Garden of Eden, prison for revenants and other things. Beginning of season 2, when Gooberly touched the goo, the first thing she did was turn around and kill that ugly monster with the red face and the teeth. And there was 2 of them, one in black badge and one chasing them in the forest. So that wasn't a revenant. That was just a monster. That tentacle thing that went through the arch and then burned wasn't a revenant. It was a monster. So they've already kind of...
That was in season 1,
yeah,
right?
That was the end of season 1. And so...
That was
the Willa storyline. So there were other monsters other than revenants. So I'm confident that there is more story to tell. But my thing is, Peacemaker was meant to kill the revenants, to send them to hell. So now we have this flaming blue sword. Let's get the colors together, because so far Peacemaker blue meant mercy or something to that effect. Yellow meant you're going to hell. She was fighting Bolshar with a blue sword. Okay, what was that about? Can we get a color code, Emily Andres, please? Because now it's just being silly, And she has this sword. Oh, okay, cool, but we like her gun. So how is that going to go back to being a gun?
I think it's going to go back to being a gun, and I just don't see them moving away into sword. Sword's too high fantasy. We're in a western.
Yeah, what's the point?
I think we're gonna just go back to I think that's one of those times where it's we're doing this heavenly storyline, but it's definitely going to be a gun.
Well, it has to be, because I get the whole
slaying things with it.
Yeah, I get the whole thing with the sword, because the flaming swords of heaven and the angels and the archangels and blah blah blah. I get it, but and then just the curse. Okay, fine, it's broken. I felt unsatisfied at how it got broken, and I hope. And because I've been reading the comics, I'm excited to see other things. And I know that there are other things that are just as exciting as the curse. I wish that the Bolshar curse and things like that were wrapped up so that we don't have to think about it next season. But I have a terrible feeling that we're going to be like, well, what was the point of this? What was the point of that? Why didn't we wrap that up? I just want them to wrap up stuff so we can move on to something else.
One thing I have to say, though, just to talk about Bolshar real quick, I think he was a really effective evil guy this season, and I think they should keep him as the big bad moving into next season. I don't think he should just disappear. I know the storyline with him isn't completely ended because he clearly broke a curse, and there's got to be an implication as to what happens now. It wasn't Wynonna.
I mean, we might see him in a flashback, but present he's gone.
What's the consequence, of that? But I think Bolshar was the most powerful / intelligent / the best antagonist. This actual antagonist, 100% baddie. Whereas Bobo, he lived in the gray. Bolshar was just the hardest villain. They never killed him.
Yeah.
They couldn't kill him. They couldn't outsmart him. They couldn't outgun him. They couldn't outplan him. And the fact that they just never won against him, I think that made him super effective. And with shows like this, where you have a fantasy western or sci-fi or fantasy, high fantasy, you always want that really strong bad guy, that Mordor, that the White Witch of Chronicles of Narnia, that just the 100% evil villain that is going to be hard to overcome. And I feel like they did a really good job making that in Bolshar. And the X-Men, they have Magneto, right? He's the big bad. I feel like you could bring Bolshar back time and time again and be really effective with this villain because they have him in their back pocket. So I'm hoping to see more about this. I'd like to see it be built up more next season.
I get that. It's the villains on the show are kind of interesting, and kind of pivoting towards Bobo, because Bobo's death, guys. Bobo's death. I feel a few ways about this. I am okay he's gone. I will miss Bobo because I liked him. I thought Michael Eklund did an amazing job as Bobo. I don't like how he died, or what he was wearing, or where he was in that moment.
He looked like a French soldier.
Stupid as hell. How embarrassing.
he was in a panic. He was like in an emo band.
To me, it's like you already stripped him.
Panic at the Disco.
They pretty much just stripped Bobo of everything, and that was his whole thing. He did so much bad that nobody wanted him, and I think that Robin, being new, was the only one who actually saw the good still in Bobo. He saw that Robert's Fane, and because Bobo got screwed over and mentally manipulated, and ultimately he got tired. He finally got tired and didn't care anymore. When he was begging for somebody to get him out of the glass, the glass box. Terrarium. I wish that they would have gotten him out, because that really was a pivotal moment. I don't really like the fact that it was around Jeremy, and I didn't like Jeremy being the swaying vote of not letting him out, because I think that if Waverly was there, she would have let him out, because she's seen so much of Bobo. She would have known he wasn't lying, because he couldn't lie to her. He wasn't very good at it. He didn't know how to do it. And so I was like, Also, why couldn't he just, I can see him in the coat just with the beret. He didn't have to wear the whole stupid outfit. Like, let Bobo die, Bobo. Like, he died stupid.
Where was his fur coat?
It was stupid. Also, and I don't believe everybody needs to be redeemed. I don't think everybody needs to be redeemed, because I don't think everybody gets redeemed, or gets the chance. But once again, if we're gonna heal Doc's soul after being a vampire and a complete asshole, there should have been a way to release Bobo, kill him, but also show mercy. So like Wynonna killed Constance with the Peacemaker. It turned blue. She showed mercy. I feel like Waverly, being this Nephilim, she killed him out of anger, but I feel like she should have released his soul. Like, maybe, it would have been really cool to see. I know they don't have the budget for this, but that would have been really bitchin' to see. If she put her hands on him and he split in two, and he split to Robert's Fane and then he split to Bobo, and you see Bobo go to hell, but then you see Robert's Fane get released to heaven, because you see that good side of him didn't deserve to be in hell in the first place. It would have been nice for her to give him that piece, not just kill him, but send him at least one part of him, upwards and outwards.
I just feel like I love this actor so much. I hope he has tons of success doing whatever he does next. I loved every scene he was in since the moment I saw him on set, on my eyes.
Bobo. I love Michael Eklund
on my TV. But my favorite scene was absolutely that jazz scene between him and Robin. And in that moment, my heart broke a little. I was like, I get it. Robin's gonna fall in love with Bobo,
and I ship
it now. I shipped it so hard. I was like, I get it. Jeremy's a weenie. Bobo is a lost soul, and he needs you, Robin.
Jeremy has
he needs
Doc
you in this
to
moment.
Crush on. Robin had Bobo.
And I literally went from being all about whatever ship name is. I don't know the ship name for Robin and Jeremy. I really wish I did.
Which is a little bit of a thing. The fact that we can't remember it is like,
yeah,
suspicious. They don't have the chemistry Way Hot does. I don't think anybody does. But I don't think they also have the chemistry of Doc either.
But you know what? I could see Robin and Bobo.
I can actually see. I don't know about the romantic, but I can definitely see in an alternate AU. Somebody please write this. Bobo taking Robin under his wing as like his mentor, because okay, kids, we just got to keep moving because there's so many things I want to talk about, and I'm gonna keep skipping. Yeah, let's finish up this.
But let me just say, I enjoyed Bobo so much, and I do in that scene. The actor convinced Robin and Michael Eklund convinced me that they were a love. Unrequited love was possible.
Felt like somebody's teddy bear got killed, and so when Robin came out, he's like, Bobo. I was like, oh man,
yeah,
because I love Bobo. And our last surprise was the Way Hot I'm doing this with a question mark, proposal? Like, we'll talk about this a lot, but
This was
it wasn't a surprise to me. The way it happened, I was like, oh, okay. But I saw it coming, because they kept mentioning you'd be a good wife and all this other stuff, and like the fake proposal that Nicole did, and it was just like they were laying it on thick.
They were trying on rings every episode. Yeah, I got you. No, I thought, I was surprised because I thought they'd be married by the end of this episode on a Caribbean cruise out for their honeymoon. I thought we would be there, but no, we got the ring proposal. That was where I was surprised by how it was done. I thought it would be a lot more cemented.
Yeah, we'll talk about that really the way hot when we get to our highs and lows, because it for me it's both.
Okay, let's do this next. I was gonna say let's do these questions. Let's like fire them off. Let's just try and like first thought that comes to mind. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right, you go first.
Where does the stairway / the tower lead?
Okay, so where do I think it leads? It leads to a portal in hell. Your turn.
I think it leads to a fake Garden of Eden.
For real. Okay, next question. Who is Valdez?
Well, I know
Theories.
this answer. So who do you think?
Who do I think? I think Valdez is the brother of Bobo.
Okay. Because I already know this, Valdez is an Amazon, not Amazon, Mayan goddess woman. She is big as fuck, and she's been alive for a very long time, and she's a badass. Like, think actual, like, MMA fighter, Amazon, 6 foot and up, big ass bitch, who doesn't really know, kind of out of time like Doc is, except Mayan. And she has the wit of Wynonna and the strength of Dolls when he's a dragon, so I'm excited to see it.
She's like Wonder Woman, but sassy.
Seriously, she's like the Mayan Wonder Woman. Honestly, that's kind of what she is.
Okay. So next question. Next question, Adair.
What happened with both Mercedes?
What happened to Mercedes? We didn't see her.
Oh, why did you say both? I was like, both.
I wouldn't overthink that.
Yeah.
What do you think happened to Mercedes in the finale?
Yeah.
Donde está Mercedes? I think she conveniently disappeared, but it's not anything to worry about, and she'll probably be back for season 4.
I think her and Kate are redecorating in their new lovely home together. Also, hashtag Kate
roommates.
Sadie's.
I can't wait. That's gonna be
I'm
good.
sorry. I'm here for a Kate and Mercedes ship.
Sorority
I know I love
house.
Y Mercedes. I love Y Sadie's, but I think of them more as friends. Kate and Mercedes, I see them as a ship because they both have been looking for love. They're both sassy, and they both have fashion, and they love money, and I think they have all the things that they love and care about in common. So I'm here for it.
I think Kate, Mercedes, and Rosita, I'd like to see a college AU fanfic where they're like a sorority
Can we
house.
get the real world?
They're sorority house bitches, you know? And Nicole is she's trying to rush. She's the new freshman trying to rush the sorority. And Wynonna is the dysfunctional drunk one that, like, always sleeps with all the guys.
No, you know what this would be? If they were in that college AU, Nicole would be the freaking dorm room, like the floor leader of the dorm. The one who's always the RN, or what is it? RA?
This is a sorority house AU.
No, I know, but there's always a person who, like a floor leader, someone who's like, okay, keep the girls in charge because she likes rules, and nobody ever fucking listens to her. Kate's off doing something. Mercedes spending all the damn funds and tuition. Wynonna's sleeping with all the frat guys, and there's always guys in the house, and there shouldn't be. And then Waverly's over here trying not to be a gay out loud, but still secretly is super gay.
She's a cheerleader, dating champ.
Cheerleader nerd. Yeah.
She's still a champ in this one. I need to see it play out. Slow burn, 100,000 words. Someone write it. Someone get it to me.
Write it.
Okay. The next question.
Where did Kevin go?
Kevin. You name a woman Kevin, and you make it Anna Silk. And then she doesn't. She says she comes in, lays down the knowledge, sets up the finale, and then just disappears. That's some grade A bullshit. I'm
It
so
is.
disappointed.
A lot of
Where do you
BS.
think? Where do you think she went? Where's Kevin right now?
Up in the sky somewhere. I don't really know.
Do you think she was
Hopefully-
heavenly? Do you think she was heavenly? Do you
No, I think she was. I think she was kind of in a purgatory. Like I think she's in the nothing space where it's like not heaven, not hell. It's just in between.
I thought Kevin was a member of Black Badge, or like a division, special division of the government Black Badge. That
Well,
was
it's
my
like
thought.
Lost. It's like Lost Girl. She's like one of the Watchers. It's like we watch, but we can't touch. That's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Okay.
you know.
Where did the town folk disappear to? Where do you think they are? In the finale,
I think that.
they're
Well,
all
I mean,
gone.
okay. Two answers. Some of them evacuated purgatory because that's what they were
Yes.
doing. That's what Nicole. So they're off outside of purgatory. The people who stayed, I think, are still in purgatory. Because I don't think Wynonna and Nedley are in purgatory.
You think they're in another dimension?
I think Wynonna and Nedley are somewhere else. And even further, I don't even know if Nedley's really there. He might be a figment of her imagination. But I think that, Wynonna's not there. I think the rest of the town people are still there. I think it's just another AU type situation.
I think the town people evacuated because this is like same old, same old. They're used to it by now, you know? They're used to crazy things happening, supernatural beings. So it was like they went to their bomb shelters. They went to like their end of world apocalypse dugouts. You know,
That has to be a booming
dugout
business in
housing.
purgatory.
It's got to be huge. You know, like their
There
sheds.
has to be a Fallout guy who's just
Fallout
like
shelters. Yeah,
who's just
That's
selling them.
they're in a field of Fallout shelters, and they are all on those like chairs that rumble and vibrate and
It's true.
watching movies.
Hey, so where do you think Nedley went? Why is Nedley left over?
Why
actually?
is Nedley the last person Wynonna sees?
Mhm.
I think that I don't know. Oh, okay, if I had to answer this question, why is Nedley the last person left over in town? I think he waited for it at Wynonna, and he has been holding on to this last bit of secret. It's like his last secret, and then he's gonna retire. There it is. That's what I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like I said, I really want Nedley with Mama Earp, so that's that. And then I think that he's left over either because he's a figment of her imagination, like a spirit guide type Stitch, or he's there too, and we're going to find out something crazy about Nedley's backstory.
Yeah, that sounds. You know, I thought this actor's character was seen
Greg.
the end of his road, but they keep finding ways to reinvent him. Make
I
him
love
interesting.
Vacation Nedley. He had his whole Hawaiian shirt on. I love Greg with the shotgun. Like, it just shows what kind of badass Nedley was. And this actually made me feel good because I think him being tied down as sheriff tired him out. And he wanted to see more action. I think the most times we saw Nedley be super alive when he was getting the crap kicked out of him by Mercedes. And, in this kind of episode where he gets to be a badass, I think he just missed the action. So I think we're finally going to see action Nedley and not just like this dad. And, he might actually be kind of taking over the role of one of the characters in the comic book where is that fatherly figure, that guiding force for Wynonna, who's also a badass. Did Wynonna wake in a dream version of purgatory? What are your thoughts?
Is she in a dream version of purgatory, meaning that she comes back into town, everyone's disappeared, but she's not in her own reality? I would say I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like the show has a huge tendency to lean heavily on the trope of not being in your world and your world is changed. Mm-hmm. Not being in your world. They do it all the time where they take you out of the world and they put you back in it. Like the moment when this season, Jolene, episode 7, I believe, where they're eating the cookies, and as soon as you eat the cookies, you're bedazzled, and you're seeing purgatory, but you're also seeing this lovely, like, homestead dinner situation that in itself is an alternate world. Or the time we were put into a dreamscape of purgatory, the time we go back in time with purgatory. I don't know if we've body jumped yet, but I feel like we have.
We're going to probably next year.
I just feel like we're constantly being given another versions of purgatory. It would not surprise me in the least if this was just another one of them. They do this all the time. Okay, go on. Oh, what about Alice now? What about Alice now?
Well, the curse is broken, and the whole point of sending Alice's way was so that she wouldn't have to deal with the curse, you know?
Right.
I have some predictions about that a little later, but yeah. All I want to say is the curse is now broken, so we have to kind of address that elephant.
Yeah, is Wynonna going to be a mama now that the curse is broken? That's a really good question. I'm very curious for that. What about Alice now? I agree with you. I see no reason why she has to live away from her family. She should come back. Why does Waverly need to be more powerful than Julian?
Seems to be more powerful.
Oh, I did not see that right. Why does Waverly seem to be more powerful than Julian?
Yeah. I don't know if any of you noticed this, but like she's healing people, she's resurrecting people, she's saving people. She's only half angel, guys. They keep treating her like she's a full angel. And then the full angel gets his memory back, but then like not his power, and he kind of dies, but not really. And all of a sudden he's like super weak except for the one tossing of Doc that he did. And he healed Nicole and it drained him. And I was like, I don't get it. Because mind you, something that I found interesting. He didn't have the ring. He got tired, right? And everybody's like, oh, he didn't have the ring. That's how his powers, he got drained, you know? Waverly healed and did stuff without the ring before she actually got the ring. And after she got the ring, like, she was pulling the sword out of the stone, but she had already given the ring to Nicole. Like, she doesn't need the ring. So how is she more powerful than her almighty father? I just, once again, Swiss cheese. I don't get it.
I guess that we never saw Julian in his heyday at full angel power when Julian and Juan Carlo were holding down the fort, if you will, when they were the vanguards of purgatory. So we have nothing to gauge it on. We only see Julian at his weakest, having been resurrected from the dead. So I would have to see Julian during Michelle Earp's time to know if Waverly's power is comparable to his.
I understand that. I really hope that we actually get them to come back. Like, Juan Carlo, Julian. You know how they did a new Constance, how they got a younger actress to play, like, back in the day her? That'd be great to get a younger Juan Carlo and then have the actor who played Charlie come back and do flashbacks. I'm also hoping that Michael Eklund comes back to do flashbacks as Robert Swain. You know, he might not be Bobo anymore, but at least he'll be Robert Swain occasionally. I think that would be a really smart idea to have kind of more of that explained, you know?
Yeah, I think that would be one of the most exciting times you could capture is the days of Juan Carlo and Julian being these badass guardians. I think that's a really cool idea. Okay, last question. Is Nedley a bit gay? I would say he's not, because I ship him with Mama Earp as well.
I do ship him with Mama Earp, but I also read some fanfics where he was a gay old single man, and I was here for it. He watches RuPaul. He's like into his own, like, he's telling the young gays, like, get your life together, like, what you been up to, you know. I'm here for it. I'm here for a little homo Nedley, but I also want him with Mama Earp. So
who do they ship him with?
No, they don't ship him with anybody. I think it's one of those, like, at least the stories I've read, he's more like the lonesome sheriff who lives by himself in a quiet, you know, house, who's not trying to make any waves, and people are like, he must be gay, or like, you know, one of those things. And I'm like, I'm here for it.
I haven't read any Wynonna Earp fanfic, but if I did, I'd want to read a crossover with Alex Danvers and Nicole Hott being like sisters and working in, you know, on a case together in purgatory with like Cara Danvers and the sisters, you know, like
the
Danvers sisters and the Earpers. I want to see if there's a crossover. Please
very
send
much
me
like
my
how
way. I feel like it should just exist.
Very much how I just today came across the Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy meet Archie and Veronica, like that kind of crossover. It is crazy.
I like random worlds colliding.
Yeah, just super random. Okay,
so
let's get to these highs of this episode.
So highs of the episode. So one of the highs of the episode for me was Wynonna Earp and particularly in episode 11, her outfits, or just the outfits in general.
Yeah.
The clothing was really spot on.
Wardrobe is killing it.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. It was Supergirl level clothing we were seeing on people.
Yeah, I really liked it. Like, it was even the like the dinner party outfit she's wearing, how it's all Victorian looking, and that's the kind of first time we get to see Wynonna in kind of a actually true Western outfit, you know? And I'm sorry, it was very Pirate Queen of her when she like, I got taken aback, and it kind of made me clutch my pearls a little bit when she like drops down to her knees to cover the stones to let the revenants in. That was a sexy as hell like little drop down, and I was here for it. Very like had the little knee out. I was like, oh, a little skin, you go, girl. I felt it. I love Mercedes' outfit. I thought it was great. Keeping Waverly in the jacket, I thought was very smart. Bobo, I'm sorry, that's a no-no, his outfit.
I liked it. I liked the Bobo outfit.
I'm here for the
French
the
police.
Oh, I was so embarrassed for him.
The beret. I liked it. I liked it. It was little French police meets like X-Men.
That was actually very accurate. Okay, so the other thing that we really liked, Robin being kind of deputized. You know, I was here for that. I think that's cute. I think
I'm here for it.
A Robin and Nicole buddy.
I love it. If he becomes an officer, he should first of all never be a fireman because they just keep getting killed in purgatory. You can't keep that staffed. No. But he should absolutely staffed. You have to absolutely you should absolutely become Nicole's like trainee, you know? I love it. That's the cutest thing. Okay, go on.
I think it'd be great. I think it really would be great.
Yeah. Robin being deputized, Mercedes and Kate's return. Oh, yes. Having Mercedes, that moment where she's sitting at the dinner party and she reveals that she's just there and she's been there all along.
What you call it? It's a apocalyptunity. Apocalyptunity.
Yeah. Having way too much fun, but it was awesome. Having these two actors show up at the end in the last two episodes, I think just kind of like, I especially love Mercedes. I hoped for more for Kate, but I was glad that Kate had something more substantial to do in the finale.
Than just like Doc.
Something in episode 12. Yeah, I absolutely think she's too dependent on Doc. Like, her storyline is too dependent on Doc.
Yeah.
Being
doesn't
a
pass
love interest.
the Bechtel test or whatever.
No,
it's
absolutely not.
But I really want her with Mercedes, not just because I ship it, but I think that their sassy dynamic is going to
kill Wynonna Earp.
Can
you imagine them being like just tired of her bullshit, being like, girl, get it together?
Yeah, and I can just see Mercedes like, okay, what did my cards say this week? Am I gonna find a man? Is this Tinder date gonna be like the last? Because that was kind of bullshary. I could just see it happening.
Them having a drink together.
Oh yeah, and Kate's like, I'm hungry. Well, bitch, there's blood in the refrigerator. Don't come at me. Like, I could just see it.
They're like gray gardens in that house.
They open up a B&B for people who are just like random strangers in the Gardner house because everybody sends to go there.
Yeah, everyone just moves into her house with no permission.
I love that. I still love the line, squatter's gonna squat. Oh, Mercedes, so good. Right. The Revenants take over and the Revenant takeover and collab. I liked the fact that she did this whole, like I said, Pirate Queen thing where she finally realized the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And she's like, I couldn't do the curse by myself. I never could have. Once again, bringing up the reason why I didn't like the way the curse was ended. I thought it would have been great to have her and the Revenants in the curse together. Like they brought up, got us all hyped for, and then it didn't happen. So that was kind of, in the same episode, they hyped it up, they got it together, and then they dropped the ball. It all in 15 minutes of the same episode. It was wild. But I did like it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was it made sense. And it was the first time Wynonna was being rational and going, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see it before. We're supposed to team up. This is supposed to happen.
I there was something joyous about it. I agree. And it was really nice seeing that that scene of slow-mo walking, and everyone in the room at the bar when we had the event, they were just all like screaming and cheering, and it was so fun, and I always harken back to that moment that I got to experience with all those people. I thought it was great. Another high would be Waverly getting punched out by Wynonna. I was just like, that is so abusive and wrong in every shape, way possible. But Wynonna is just so afraid for her sister. She'll do anything for her sister. And just Waverly taking a pop in the face.
Wynonna's quoting her dad as saying, it's going to hurt you a lot more than it's going to hurt me. That's such a fucked up line. Oh my God. But
and then like she doesn't just put her in the back of the truck. She puts her in like the mummy container storage.
In the tool storage. Jeez.
I'm like, she doesn't have air, but she's in the tool storage. Yeah, and that's
Good Lord.
that was such a good Wynonna moment, because that's like what that character is.
Yeah.
Ask questions later.
Yeah.
So.
Our high, we did mention this earlier, the way hot proposal. Like I said, it goes in both the high and the low for me. So the high of it is that we got a proposal. How cute. I like the fact that Waverly is the one who asked. It feels a little on brand, seeing as Waverly is the first one to kiss Nicole. And, I like the fact that she said, I love you. Now, I'll get to that, the negatives of it, but I like the fact that she said, I loved you, and that it was a cute moment. And Jen, your thoughts?
I just feel like it felt like the characters have done there have been the character development and emotional development with these characters for me to believe that they will end up together, and that I believe that they could have a good marriage. I see a lot of television where people just get married after 3 episodes, or start dating after 3 episodes, and like jump into bed, and like TV relationships, they last about 3 episodes. And I felt like after all watching this relationship over 3 seasons, I felt like, it made a lot of sense. It feels right, and it feels like both characters, like, are there on an emotional level for each other. Like, they are each other's persons. And so I love that I believed it.
Yeah. I would say what's really interesting, I get that. I like the fact that, it was a tender moment and all that. And yeah, I have many, many thoughts about it. My next favorite thing is all the F-bombs that they dropped. It's just like, F-bomb here, F-bomb here. And I'm here for it. I love seeing Nedley say it. I think Waverly said it even though her mouth was duct tape when she was getting put into the tool shed. I think it's funny. I'm like, I love a good F-bomb, and as long as it's well placed. That's the thing. It was well placed.
I feel like it kind of reminds me of other Western shows. They say a lot of F-bombs. Like, Western shows are riddled with F-bombs.
Yeah.
So it feels very appropriate to have a few on this little sci-fi cable show, doing a few. It kind of adds that layer of Western texture to it. Yeah, so I'm glad they made that choice with language.
Yeah, and speaking of Western, aesthetics, ultimately, the thing that we love this episode was the Western aesthetic. We're in purgatory. It's supposed to feel kind of Western-y and sci-fi, and I feel like the last few episodes, seasons, or the second season, we kind of got away from it feeling like a Western. Yeah, we get the homestead. It's a wooden place. The barn is wooden. And then we have Shorty's, but ultimately the neighborhood doesn't feel very Western-y, and when we see, like we were saying, the pedestrians or even the Revenants, if they're from that time, why does Doc is the only one who has that accent still? Why can't Kate have a little bit more of a older sound still, or any of them? It'd be nice to have people still sounding like they kind of were still back in the day, I know they would evolve, but come on. And so I liked the fact that the clothes really felt Western-y. Wynonna looked like she was one of the girls, in maybe the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. Or
they took those girls out.
Oh, they did take those girls out because,
Politically
Slavery.
correct.
Uh,
Politically correct. Sex slavery, yes.
Yeah, that's no. But no, she had that beer wench kind of feel to her, and I liked that. You know, the big table, and like even Clooney or Bolshar in that kind of 10-gallon hat feel. You know, I really like that. You know, and I was here for the Western aesthetic. I kind of missed that of the show.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job of shooting other exteriors. I think they shot in front of like a long. They had this like long, this exterior that had a really like Western looking storefronts, and so it was nice seeing the town, because we always talk about it that we want to visually see this town a little bit more. And I thought that was they were able to find some cool exteriors in Canada that look Western.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about some of our lows. Dun dun dun.
Okay, lows. All right, I think this is more of your load. So you take this one.
I will.
I don't feel as much thinking. In this
Okay.
load.
So this is mine. Doc being redeemed so easily. I don't get it. I don't like it. It's too much of still a savior complex thing for me. I would have much preferred. I mean, I know, and it's not for the reason people would think. I would have preferred Nicole to go into try to protect Waverly. Yes, it's her girl, but also Nicole, like if they would have tied her to the Bolshar cult and made it more important that she would have been at the kind of final battle, it would have been great to see her go find her. It would have given us a chance to see Nicole be more of a badass, because she keeps getting her ass kicked, and pretty much like her girlfriend who has no police training fights better than her. Like she's constantly, the only thing that they've proven that Nicole's really good at is drinking.
No, rock climbing. She's horribly proficient.
Apparently, oh yes, and rock climbing.
She keeps all the bungee cords in her trunk, don't you know? Come on.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm like, can we see an actual police officer, please? Like, I don't get it. So there's that. Also, you know, it just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like he doesn't deserve to be able to go into this garden and fight, you know? It just kind of, it's pointless. I don't know. I don't like it. So I'm not really happy. I don't mind him being redeemed in general. Cool. I'm down for that. But it just felt like, and now we're making Doc amazing. And once again, it's just kind of setting the trap that Doc can do no wrong. He can do wrong, but it won't really ever have a consequence, or it really won't matter. Or people will still love him because they remember the man he was. But they keep forgetting that the man he was, in Kate's time, was still an asshole. Doc has never been the puppy dog good person that everybody wants him to be. He's been a dick. He can be a better dick like how Bobo was. But, yeah, I just don't get this whole easy redeeming thing. I'm kind of over it. It had, I hate to say it, had kind of a Monel taste in my mouth.
No, nothing has a Monel taste in your mouth.
Yeah, it was a little Monelly.
Like a little original Monel.
It's just like a Monel film on my tongue, yeah.
No! Okay, the massacre, Nicole's massacre storyline. I feel like this wasn't, we were teased, we were given this, she was really important. The notion that Nicole had survived the cult of Bolshar early in the season was like such an important thread, and if anything, there would be episodes where nothing else seemed to be important. Everything else was very week to week bad guy saving people in the moment. But we always had this thread that we found Bolshar through Nicole, and then the narrative shifted in the finale, and this idea that Nicole was leading us to Bolshar, or the fact that the ring was so important and couldn't come off her finger, or she was a ring bearer, both of these things kind of were sidelined. Her importance and her role against this cult and were sidelined in the finale, and it seems like they chose to go another direction by bringing Julian into the fold to be the big reveal. And a lot of the stuff that set us up for the Bolshar final finale conflict was kind of made sidelined by and Nicole's importance in this storyline, in this narrative. She went from playing first fiddle to like I don't even know.
No fiddles.
Fifth
She's in the back chair.
No,
Yeah.
she play the triangle. She's no, but it just didn't tie into anything that we thought they were going to tie into, and when you do that, it kind of like upsets all the stuff that we thought was important, and it kind of makes her character have less to do in the finale. It makes her character have less importance as a main lead if her one storyline is going to dry up, if the threads of her storyline dry up.
I mean,
and we're introduced to Julian, who gives us all the main storyline in 2 episodes that we had been getting teased through Nicole.
Yeah,
so that was
it's weird.
The thought.
I mean, the thing is, like, with Nicole and that storyline, it's like, okay, we absolutely loved the idea of her having a storyline, being more active, and they made it a big deal, being more than just Waverly's love interest. And we were here for that. We were like, yeah, badass lesbian cop, let's do it. We had a Maggie Sawyer who was a badass lesbian cop, and that was cool. I mean, they screwed her story over, but the character was solid, you know? Nicole had the potential to do that, and now we've kind of put her back into just being Waverly's relationship, you know?
Yeah, her agency was taken away when you made her storyline less important.
And my thing was, did it go away because Shamir left or Dolls is gone? And he was kind of wrapped up in that, and then they were like, let's not go there. But
no, I don't think it did, because you had to have written in all the Julian stuff. So they knew they were going to activate and work through this character, Charlie, since the moment we saw him. That was way planned in advance.
But maybe even Robin was being taken a little bit of Nicole's storyline, because then he became way more important to the Balsher storyline than Nicole did. And
you're right. I definitely think that there were a lot of balls in the air, and this is the one that dropped, unfortunately.
Yeah, Nicole could have easily been one of the beekeepers, because the whole thing was, you know, getting captured, having the seed, coughing up some stuff, being a little weird, and then having to be able to hear the trees. And yeah, we wanted Jeremy to have a boyfriend, fine, but she could have been the beekeeper and still been important to Balsher, because maybe it didn't work because she was a survivor. There could have been ways to work around it. But
you could have worked her into it, I agree, but they didn't, and we were given other things. Yeah. So the fact that it didn't really connect for us, that's a low.
That's a huge low. Yeah.
Moving on to the next thing, though, was Mama Earp. We were given the wonderful Mother Earp character this season, and it felt like when she left Wynonna and Waverly, it was really painful, this abandonment, because I liked Michelle Earp so much.
Megan Fellows, she's so good.
She's very likable, and it didn't seem like she gave enough reason to leave her family, and it felt like because her reason for leaving her family, because they really made us like her, so the reason, and we saw the love she had for her daughters, and then she does this out of character thing where she leaves, and we think she's leaving to find Julian, but no, she's just leaving because her contract's up, I guess. So the notion that we thought she would have so much more of a nobler cause, or like come back in the finale, it was actually, she was one of the characters that it made no sense for her not to come back in the finale. Yeah. I hope she comes back next season, because she's just a shitty mom if she just abandoned her daughters again.
And it'd be nice.
Getting them back.
It'd be nice to kind of wrap up the Julian story with her.
But she wasn't that shitty. We saw point for point that they convinced us that she wasn't a shitty mom, that she had been, you know,
the demon.
She'd been a mom who had sacrificed for her daughter by, you know, combating this evil demon in a prison for years and years. But she loved her daughters, and yet she gets out of prison, has a couple of beers. She's like, I'm wild. You can't tame me. Yeah. And then pieces out of town. That's the opposite of what they told us she was. Yeah. So, yeah. That didn't make sense.
Yeah, I liked her, and I don't get why she's gone, other than I feel like this year, actors, the biggest problem of the storylines is that we can't keep actors. Like, we just aren't keeping actors because of contracts and things like that. And I think it's starting to hurt some of the plots. Because it's like we get these great characters, and then you know.
Wynonna Earp. Wynonna Earp. Adair Gilliam. Jen Montoya. We'll work for cheap.
Yeah. Exactly. We'll come help you guys write some stuff.
I could be a no, I won't be an actor. I'll be like, I could be a revenant. Shoot me. I will work on this show for real cheap.
I'll be Dawes' lost sister.
I'll be Rosarita too.
Oh God.
Rosarita too.
All right, so the other stuff that was kind of low, Bobo's crap ending. I've talked about that already. It just kind of bummed me out. I wanted more for Bobo because I liked Bobo. I think it could have been more.
I don't know what. I wish he'd gotten out of the cage much earlier, so he could have done more interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I like the jazz listening. The Easy Jazz was cool. Montreal Easy Jazz Station. That was a good choice. But could he have been more effective in the end? Would I have liked to have seen him in the lineup of Revenants? Yes, I would have. Would I have liked to have seen him, go down up the tower? He would have been a more interesting choice to go up the tower than Doc, actually.
Oh my God, it would have been so much because his whole arc was to protect Waverly, even if he didn't like it.
Even if he wasn't coming back, you could have, been like, oh, he stayed and I'm here.
Yeah.
You could have explained it off camera and just continued on with Waverly being like, oh, we became disconnected, or oh, he sacrificed for me. And it would have been more compelling, and it would have made a lot of sense because that character was always connected to Waverly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're real right.
Okay, this one is Nicole being left out of the finale. And
No, not the finale, just the fold, like in general. Like she's always left out of all the information.
But I also think that this harkens back to the notion that they made a decision at the beginning of the year with her character to move in one direction, and then they brought in all these other guest stars for the story, and the story ended up moving in another direction, and it didn't line up with her character, and we see that not just in her storyline, but like all over the place. Like these little. Well, yeah, I mean, we feel like she should be in the scene, but she's not, and it doesn't make sense that she's not there.
Well, no, I mean, like for me, when I say like she wasn't in the fold, yeah, fine, her story arc is different and get wonky. I mean, like the fact that Waverly doesn't ever tell her anything. Wynonna doesn't tell her. She's like, oh, did Waverly tell you about Kevin? Kevin who? All right, well, gotta go. And it's like, what? And we've already seen it twice, where Nicole's been under influence or whatever, and she's stated how pissed off she is that she's never being told what's going on. The whole point of her character, season 1, was to go to Dolls and ask what the hell's going on in Purgatory. She kept asking Waverly, what's going on in Purgatory? What's happening? What's up with Peacemaker? I want to know. It's been a joke since season 1, and it's now just getting to the point where it's kind of disrespectful. If she and Waverly love each other so much, there has to be communication. The fact that they are constantly not telling Nicole anything isn't helping. Even Nedley knows, like, Nedley, he's kind of learned on his own, but in order to make Purgatory work, the sheriff should know all the ins and outs, even if she's not involved. And I feel like it's just getting to the point where it's like, come on, don't keep leaving Nicole out of, she doesn't have to be part of the plan, but as long as she knows the plan, then she can, in her own human, sheriffy way, figure stuff out. That's how Nedley works. He knew enough to be able to, like, block certain people, have certain things happen, because he knew the information. And I personally am just getting tired of Nicole, A, getting her ass kicked every time there's a fight, and B, just the people she quote-unquote loves and who love her don't tell her any kind of truth. I mean, people on the show are terrible at communicating, but they are purposely in the writing going out of the way to make sure she doesn't know stuff, which is stupid, ultimately.
All right. Are you okay?
I'm a little clumped.
I feel like you're a little damaged. I got you, though.
I don't know. That just sucks, man.
I'm going to give you a hug. All right.
The lows.
Next low.
Way hot proposal.
But this is the one thing. If you're going to propose to your honey boo thing, just don't do it with the devil ring, okay?
Well, technically it's Julian's ring, so there's that. It's an angel ring.
It's an angel devil ring. It's a black, ugly ass ring. You know what I mean? It's like not a attractive ring.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a good aesthetic. It's not a princess cut. There's no diamond on there. It's just like, I just don't think, like, even me, I don't know Nicole that well. I don't know her personally. Even me, I would know, just being like, oh, no, this isn't a good choice.
This is a low. Okay, a few things. It reminds me of the Sanvers proposal, where it was so rushed and quick because the end of the world's happening. There's so much going on. I love you. And, and this whole thing. And then we don't get a rebuttal or answer from Nicole because, once again, we've decided to use the Wynonna interrupting cow joke again, which, frankly, I'm over it. It's fun, like, once a season, but, like, really, every friggin' episode, I'm over it. But, yeah, it didn't feel genuine because, it was the first time Waverly had ever said, point blank, to Nicole that she loved her, which I'm like, really? The one time you're going to tell the girl you love her is when you propose, but no other time? That's weird. I actually really hope Nicole says no, because I feel like, it would make more sense. You don't
love love? Because you don't love love?
It would make more sense if she says no, because she knows that it's under duress and that it's under, like, this high stakes thing.
Good and well, Nicole can't say no to Waverly.
Exactly. But you know what okay, this is a prediction, but I'm not going to say it right now. So
you
I have a prediction
say it.
about it.
We're not in predictions.
I know, I have a prediction about
more things
but yeah,
say.
so I'm just
this
not.
This is mine.
I wasn't really happy with that aspect of the proposal, and that it was rushed, and that it wasn't really thought out, and it was impulsive, and it's like, as much as I love them and I want there to be a Way Hot wedding, I'm here for that, and a Way Hot engagement. I'm actually here for an engagement, like a 2-year engagement. If we can get to season 6, I'm here for them getting married season 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, or even at the end of the series getting married, because that makes sense. But, like, I wasn't here for it. All right, moving on. So, Jen, you were saying how much you can't stand the fire department.
Yes, this is fine. Okay, like, can I just be real with you people? Like, 90% of these are Adair's lows. She wrote this list, really. But this is the one that makes the top for me. All right?
Uh-oh, everybody hold on to your loins.
All right. The fire department of Purgatory is my number one pet peeve of this whole series. This fire department has been depleted of staff due to supernatural violence.
Don't become a firefighter in Purgatory.
Somebody stop the violence. Like, last season, the Brotherhood of the Fire Department, this is something I'm always talking about. I'm always talking about how, like, I hated how dolls just blew them all up in one go. And this maybe talks about the notion that the story likes to lay down threads and then decides to do something else in the middle of the season and then just destroys it all. Yeah. So they had this whole fire department brotherhood who had been, like, ghostbustering and, like, going out and DIYing the monsters of Purgatory for years. They were a brotherhood. They were a fraternity. They were hilarious. They were in great shape. They worked out together. They got dragged by dolls and then they were all dead. Okay? Mm-hmm. And then this season, there was never any, like, oh, hey, a year ago, 3 months ago even, because this season picks up 3 months later, after 5 months later after season 2. They're never like, hey, remember that terrible massacre where all the firemen died and no one knows what happened? They, like, never talked about it. And then we end up at the fire department and it's just billowing with staff and personnel. And, like, I live in New York City and I live next to a firehouse, and whenever I walk by that firehouse, there's all these, like, a lot of the 9/11 firemen died from that firehouse, so there's all these, like, pictures on the wall, memorabilia of 9/11 firemen. So to me, I always thought it was crazy that there wouldn't be any reference to the massacre of a town's entire fire department. And then we get in the finale. Oh my God. We get in the finale. Finally. We get in a flashback in the finale where Waverly gets to witness Charlie's memory somehow. I don't know how this happened. She just sees it. We see Charlie entering Purgatory and he goes to the fire department. And finally, finally they have the fire chief there, and he's like, we lost a lot of good men last year. And I was like, oh my god, continuity. So they've strung it together. And Charlie's like, I just want to help. I just want to be a fireman. You know, and that was like the little, like, Emily Andres, she listens to the podcast, she's like, oh my god, you're so right, the fire department, we never close the threads. and then just like the meanest bullshit happened. The meanest thing happened. Finally we established that Charlie's dead. He was the only, like, he was one of the rehirees that they had after the massacre. But then the fire chief, you know, he's at the fire department, and the revenants go, and Doc is the murderer of him, and Doc and Kate stroll up, and the fire chief's like, hey, you're not supposed to be here, and Doc's like, shut up, motherfucker, and he, like, just shoots him. The last fire chief. And it's just like, this fire department can't get a break. They lost Charlie, they lost the fire chief, they lost all the Brotherhood, massacred last year. I just think that the fire department, there's so much violence, and there's never any continuity when it comes to it.
I think it's pretty funny, though, because Charlie couldn't stay alive, or at least had to hide out if he would have stayed alive, because they already saw him die in that fire. You know, he was already in the morgue, so they already thought Charlie died. He couldn't have just popped up again.
But, like, I didn't really die. I survived the fire. We good.
JK, guys, I'm an angel.
Right. So, like, I just think that was my low for the season, was the fire department, lack of continuity. And then when we finally established that they lost the whole staff, the fire chief gets shot by Doc in the finale. He's dead too.
They don't give no F's about this fire department.
Yeah, I'm like,
so
Robin, you be a deputy, Robin. Do not put on this fire. Do not don that fire-resistant suit.
You ain't gonna make it.
You're not gonna make it.
We had a few of the
I'm done.
Earpers. We had a few of the Earpers at the finale give some of their thoughts on their highs and lows. So we're going to have that playing for you guys right now.
Okay. My name is Anastasia. I guess one of the highs was the Christmas episode, because that was really, really fun, and it was just kind of really uplifting, and everyone just got to have fun and drink, and it was just like a really nice, wholesome, kind of funny episode.
Were you surprised that they were doing Christmas, like, out of nowhere?
It's a bit random that they did it in the middle of August, but I mean, I guess that's just when the show is on, so yeah. I was really excited. I hope they do different holidays. Like, I'd love like a Halloween one or something. That would be really fun. The lows, I hated when, like, the Jolene episode, how everyone was so horrible to Waverly, because she's obviously, like, such a sweetheart. She's a literal angel, and everyone was being so mean, not of their own, you know, they were under, like, her spell, but it was, like, just, like, really sad to see that, especially, like, when Nicole was really horrible.
I don't like it when people pick on Waverly. Is that what you're telling me? That's what I'm getting.
Well, I just love all of the cast so much. I just think if anyone, because there's such a love between, like, Nicole and Waverly, and obviously, like, Wynonna and Waverly as well, and so just, even if it was the other way around, if it was Waverly under a spell being really horrible to Wynonna or Nicole, it would hurt just as bad, because you know how much that they actually love each other in real life in the show. You know what I mean?
They love each other.
Yeah.
Hey, my name's Kayla. High and low. I think my high and low is both in the Jolene episode. Like, the high, like, that episode was so funny. And I feel like, really? It was so funny. Like, all of the, like, baked goods that they chose for everybody. And I just thought it was really funny. And then, of course, like, the scene with Waverly at the end just breaks you and, like, crumbles you apart. But then you get the sweet way hot at the end, and then you're built right back up again. It's like a little roller coaster right there. Couldn't handle it.
Do you have a specific, are you Wayhop fans?
Oh, absolutely.
So I just had to ask, do you have a specific Wayhop moment of the season? I'm going to ask you, Kayla, and then you ask
Do you have yours off the top of your head?
I don't know what I'm thinking. The Wayhop moment of the season.
I think mine was in the Jolene episode when they were like sitting on the floor, and then
I was gonna
in
say
the,
that. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, in the background you see the I'm sorry balloons, and you see they've got like flowers in the background, and they're like apologizing to each other, and after like after like the whole roller coaster of that entire episode, it was just like a still moment with them where it was, yeah. Oh yeah. Well, they needed that to resolve the season 2 stuff because, yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say the same. I was gonna say at the end of the Jolene episode when there's like the unicorn balloon in the background, and it's just really nice because Nicole's apologizing even though she was able to resist a demon spell, like because she literally loved her so much. It just shows that they're really like it's true love between them. It was really nice.
So my question for you is, are you a gay or a hot girl?
You mean like me personally?
Do you identify with either or do you like one or
Oh god, I don't know. I would like to think I'm a bit of a Waverly because I try to be a really nice and a good and a forgiving person. I don't know if I am as good as her, but I would strive to be. I'm probably more of a Wynonna because I just drink whiskey and I'm like a lovable rogue. Yeah.
Jolene was your favorite episode?
No.
What was your favorite moment so far?
I don't know. That's a tough one. Favorite
Is
food.
there a that you look forward to every episode?
Is there what, sorry?
Is there like a specific plot line that you look forward to seeing? Like an example would be for me, I personally think that Nicole has the most interesting stuff on the show. Even if it's not seen it. Whatever the episode is, I would choose to be following.
I think it's hard to pick a favorite because the great thing about this show is you can go from having a really dark episode like Jolene and then flip 180 or 360 or whatever and do like a really lighthearted Christmas episode, and then there's like lots of dark turns and everything, and then you'll have like the one with Wynonna and Nicole when they get like handcuffed together, so it has a really good mix of like dark and light, and that's what I like about it.
Do you have a favorite guest star this season so far?
I used to watch Lost Girl, so it was really cool seeing Zoe Palmer and Anna Silk. Character-wise, Kevin seems like a bit of a badass. So, but I'm also really glad that Mercedes is back, and I love Mercedes being back, and yeah.
Do you think, real quick, before we go, do you think Kevin's good or evil? Go.
Oh, that's tough to say. I think she is probably good, but she's like a bit of a bad bitch, you know?
She's like an angel, or she working for angels, or what?
Maybe she's just like works for some kind of like dark force or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Like I said, they absolutely just all the things, guys. It was so much. And I agree with all of their highs and lows.
Kayla and Anastasia, thank you so much for your contributions to the cast. We appreciate your thoughts.
Oh, by the way, if just kind of a side note, if you guys didn't hear, we had some people, some Earpers talk on the cast, but weren't able to get all your guys' audio waves working. So for those of you guys who did talk to us but aren't on the cast, we apologize. I love you guys. I tried so hard to get that file back, but I could not. So thank you for that. But yeah, just giving a little shout out to those who did participate in the finale at the party and everything. Let's go on. Let's move on to predictions. Kind of our last part of our cast, guys. I know this has been a doozy. It's our mega Wynonna wound up because of the 2 episodes. So what do you have? Let's say, who is returning season 4? Who do you think?
I love making predictions. Who is returning season 4? My roster. Mercedes, Widow, Postulus, every Mother of Dragons. I want Mercedes back. I think she should return. I would love to see the return of Rosita. Rosita. And I never got that right in season 2 either. And who else is going to be returning?
Kate. Jeremy.
No. I'm not. I'm only listing people who are on the cusp of not returning. You know what I mean? Like who I think wouldn't get the contract, or maybe could or couldn't at this point. I would like to see Kevin back. I'd like to know more about who Kevin is, and they didn't kill Kevin, so you could have Anna Silk back.
Yeah.
And then I'd like to see Mama Earp, because I don't believe she's an asshole mother. I don't believe she would abandon her kids. I do believe she was looking for Julian. I believe her. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my choice.
I think that we're gonna get Charlie, JC, and Bobo in flashbacks. Maybe a younger JC or whatever. I don't know, but that might be in flashes. If we are in the garden, I think that might be something. Yeah.
I would like to see Champ back. I would love to see Champ back.
Well, as we always say, we always want to see the pedestrians of purgatory. So yeah, Champ would be part of it. Also,
Champ.
Nicole's mentioned Champ a few times this season.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of
I
nice
liked
to have
Champ
him
to
back.
be her foil again. I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Yeah, not like a Tucker, but just like
he could work at the bar that's understaffed that Doc owns.
Oh, good lord, that'd be so
Nobody works at that bar. All right.
You know what they don't have? They don't have a fully stupid person on the team anymore. Like, everybody's super high intelligence on the team, obvious reasons, but it would be actually quite nice to have, like,
the Bulk and Skull,
dummy.
yeah. You know, the Power Rangers, they always had Bulk and
Bulk
Skull.
and
Champ would be perfect.
Champ can be the Bulk and Skull. He works at the bar.
Yeah.
He is physically fit, but, like, he's dumb as a rock.
He is. And you could redeem him. He'd be fun.
Yeah, I think it'd be good.
He's maybe taken a few classes, become more of a modern man, but yeah.
Or maybe he's just, like, trying to be a modern man, but, like, just dumb
Or maybe
as a
he's
rock.
gay and trying to steal Robin. I just literally took that storyline from Glee and added it to Wynonna Earp.
That's ridiculous. I think he's definitely a straight guy, but like I think it'd be really interesting.
I'm just throwing it
he's
out
like,
there.
I'm going to P-flag meetings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
It would be ridiculous.
Next prediction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is a big one.
I love this. They said go
Will you see... Oh, the thing is, and I want you guys to answer this as well. Do you think we'll see a grown-up Alice? Kind of like the Xena storyline where she had the baby and nobody wants to work with the baby. And so from the gods or whatever, they aged her daughter up 25 years. She came back as
they put Xena and Gabrielle encapsulated in ice after their second death. And then 25 years later, they break out of the ice and they're cold and naked. And then they're like, you know what? It's 25 years in the future. We have a daughter. Oh, my God.
Well, no, I get that. I'm saying, like, the writers decided, okay, how we're going to age this girl up by putting them in ice and aging her up. So they kind of already set up the premise that could be something that happens, because with the Sandman episode, he, the quote-unquote baby, she wasn't showing when they go into that episode, and then he puts them to sleep, and then she's showing when she wakes up. And even the Sandman says, I don't know, your child should have stayed the way it was. And I don't know why it grew at an accelerated rate. It should have stayed the way it was. So maybe your child doesn't follow the rules. So I think that's a perfect segue to make sure that Alice can come back as a child, like a woman, grown-ass woman in purgatory.
I would love to see Alice be like a teenager, like a complete, like, just jackass teenager.
I don't want them to skip. I don't want them to get all the way up to where she's like the same age as them, but I definitely think it'd be really funny if maybe she was a teenager, like 16, where she can hold a weapon, but like still a pain in the ass.
Right.
And still has to be parented,
Yeah.
I think that'd be really interesting.
She runs away to find her mother in purgatory, and she's 16 now. I love it. I want to see a grown-up Alice, and I would love to see Wynonna had that learning curve with her daughter, and then...
It's almost the Tamsin storyline, her daughter storyline, where, like, she dies, and then Tamsin has this child, and at the end of The Lost Girl, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
Adair,
you know, I know you haven't seen it.
I haven't finished Lost Girl. I was doing a rewatch.
I know, and I'm still going to spoil it because you should have seen it like 8 years ago. So, here we go.
Rewatch. I was doing a rewatch.
Anyways, there's a older child. Anyway, so that's kind of what's happening. But that could be something that happens. Maybe they have a teenager or whatever. I think that'd be fun. Especially seeing as watching Wynonna be a mother would be freaking hilarious. Because she's already been a mother to Waverly, and to maybe have Waverly be an aunt, I don't know. It could be ridiculous.
Like it all. I agree. I like it all.
I'd be here for it. What else do we have?
Oh, my prediction for season 4 is that we will start the season. All the characters are going to be separated for quite some time on their own like storylines. I think it's going to be one of those. I feel like in season 3, I think when you get deep into the seasons, it seems to be like something you see on a lot of shows where if you have a full cast and they've been together for a while, you might break them up and put them in different locations and then have them kind of journey and then meet up again. I feel like we're getting something like that. Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we don't split too much in the season, like between Garden and not Garden. Like Garden and Valdez. I know that that's going to be pretty much the two storylines that we're hitting season 4 with. So we have to close up the Garden and the Angel Waverly storyline. And I'm 100% sure that once we close or get closure-ish closer to that, it'll splinter and create another problem, which will continue. But that'll be closed. And then the Valdez storyline will happen and then obviously be resolved to, I think, then the pinnacle of whatever the actual big bad is or whatever for that moment. So, because we got rid of Bobo, which is a very gray character. So I think Valdez they're going to play it up as though she's the bad guy, but then come around fully. I think that'll be fun. But, yeah, I'm hoping they don't split too much because they're not really the best at splitting the storylines. Also, we're here to see.
Well, I'm just interested to
and
see
the
like
sisters.
how everyone grows on their own when they're not affected. Yeah. So like it'd be kind of good to see Nicole split for a while because Nicole's so influenced by Waverly. Like literally anything Waverly says, Nicole will do. So it's like what does Nicole do when she doesn't have Waverly near her as much? And then that makes us kind of understand the character more in themselves a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think they all need to be separated.
Yeah, and yeah.
But not for too long. I don't want them to split too long.
I just think they're going to start off separated, like in their own pathway. Maybe take an episode or 2 to get back everyone together.
How many episodes do you think it's going to take for us to see Waverly again?
I think we're going to see them in the first scene of the opening. I don't think that it's going to be like a big mystery. I think it's going to be the first thing we see.
Nice. All right, guys. This is our cast. We it's so much to talk about. There's still so much to talk about, and I think that there is going to be a crap ton to get through still. And I know they haven't started writing yet, but there is a lot of potential. So make sure you guys still keep hashtagging Wynonna Earp and tweeting the ads and sponsors and sci-fi and telling them that, hey, I know we got a season 4, but let's hit this season 5. Let's, keep going with no chill because I want to see how this works. I want to see how this ends and everything.
Yeah.
So Jen,
I do. Next week we were going to be starting with the Salty Supergirl review.
Ew.
I think this season, you and I have talked about it. We're going to be covering it. Probably, yeah, we're covering it, right? More so than we did last season. I'm very curious about what they're going to be doing with the crossover, lack of Monel, and you have 2 Supergirls, and one of them looks like a Power Ranger, and I'm so there for that.
Oh my god, that outfit. Jen's excited. I am begrudgingly
It's going to be a good time
so.
over there, but if you have like a show you want us to talk about or cover, or you've been watching something interesting, just hit us up on Twitter and be like, hey, I like this show. You guys should talk about it. And we'll look at it. We're not.
Yeah, we'll check it out. I will be starting some reviews of Legends of Tomorrow. I'm going to do some reactions there. because I love that show and Jen doesn't really watch it, which is fine.
There's
but
too
I think
many
you should.
superheroes. I'm like,
It's too many
I'm
shows.
always
I know.
like, who is this Adair? What is this costume?
Exactly. But I'm here for it. I've been watching it since the beginning, so I think I will do some reactions, and that'll be on our channel as well. You guys, make sure you say hi to us on Twitter. We're here. We're having a good time at whatabout_dat. You know, it's been a pleasure talking about this season and watching how ridiculous the show's getting. And I can't wait to see season 4. And it's going to be a interesting, busy, year until we get back there.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the Earpers who came out for the, New York final viewing party. We had a good time. I'm glad I got to meet you guys. And, the thing is, we're going to be, we're trying to prep for a premiere party. So hopefully we can get that together and see you guys at an awesome party for next year.
Yeah. Sounds great.
All right. See you guys next week with some more
Supergirl review.
Supergirl and Legends.
Ooh, ooh.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for listening. And if you want to take us on the go, we are now available on Podbeam, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. And if you want to slide on over to Twitter, make sure you find us at whatabout_dat. Hope to see you soon.